Hello, everyone. Tonight, the panel of news gurus are back to bring you the updates. And I hope we can squeeze it all in 30 minutes because a lot has happened since our last news update. Last week, we brought Laura's challenge story to you, and as far as I know, she's heard nothing, so nothing new on that front. And because we did that show, we didn't bring you a news update. But we have to do one tonight. Our president signed a peace deal with Iran.
Well, it's not signed.
Okay,
Not
well,
signed yet.
he has made an agreement. Correction from Eric. Thank you. That's true. It's happening Friday in Switzerland, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Geneva
Geneva. Okay, so in the meantime, I would
with the
love to
devil.
know. I'd love
I
Rick.
I heard it was digitally signed. That's what I heard on this end.
Laura, hold 1 second, please.
Just kidding.
I lost what I was going to say. Anyway, we'll hear what Eric and Laura has for us until the 30 minutes runs out. So, Laura, welcome. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, I think I was doing something the night when the agreement was made, and I saw it, and I'm like, is this a joke? Because lately, it's like we weren't having enough difficulties trying to figure out what is true and what is not. So now when news comes across your feed, and I'm not referring to mainstream, because if you watch me, you know I have not watched mainstream news in over 3 years. But even where I get my news, sometimes I question what I'm seeing. And my litmus test is Eric. I'll send it to Eric and go, is this true? And that's exactly what I did when I saw this story that President Trump has made an agreement to end the war. Eric, take it from there, please.
So, as excited as I think is what people want to be about it, I'm not going to get that excited about it yet. As I have reported on several different TV channels, I think we are far from having an end to this war. I think it's good that President Trump is trying to do this, but at the same time, he has to screw Israel in order to get it done.
I
And
have
that's what he did.
screwdrivers.
Well, that's what he did. And Benjamin Netanyahu is not happy. And so part of the contingency of this agreement is that Iran will not sign a peace agreement while missiles are being fired. So Israel's going to fire on Lebanon. I'll guarantee it. I am not going to sit here and try to pretend like Israel's going to be the good guy in this. Something's going to happen between Lebanon and Israel, and it's going to get nasty, and Iran's going to say, nope, no deal at the last second.
But why Lebanon?
Because that Israel is claiming that they still have a big beef with Hezbollah, and Hezbollah does fire on Israel, like that northern part of Israel does take fire, but it's like a gang war. If you shoot and kill a rival, they're going to shoot and kill somebody you know, and then you're going to give revenge and shoot and kill somebody they know. It's a never-ending cycle of violence, and that's where we're at. We're in this giant circle of get-backs and revenge that's never going to stop until somebody makes them stop. So and I don't know if Benjamin Netanyahu is willing to listen to stop. Hezbollah won't. They won't stop. As long as Iran is still giving them munitions and money, they will continue to fire. So I don't see that part of the war ending. I do think Iran and the U.S. have a pretty decent agreement put together. However, there's still some moving parts that I think are going to be outside of the spectrum of completing this agreement in the stages that are presented. Iran has the ability to kind of build some global some global respect, have some of their sanctions and stuff like that is going to, as 30 days goes by, if they complete these certain tasks, they'll have more perks added to the deal. Then at the 60-day mark, if they complete some of these tasks, they'll have some more perks. Eventually, they'll be able to start to lighten up some of the sanctioning. So I think they're in a position to be very well off. Now it's going to be up to them whether or not they make it that far. If they screw this up, they'd be completely idiots to do so. But I do think that the Israel-Lebanon thing is going to end up spoiling this whole thing.
So, Erik, you're the one who's always optimistic, and tonight you are not. That does not feel good. Let's hear Laura's take on what's going on, and then let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz, because I heard it's now open. But hold the thought. Let's hear what Laura found out about the agreement, and then we'll come back to this.
Well, yes, I mean, of course, the whole world has heard about this agreement, but Erik is actually right. There's so much, it has been such a cat and mouse game for so long that when you talk to people here in, I'm in Europe, in Italy, so I've asked a couple of people how they feel about it, but nobody is like betting on this agreement, panning out. They're all doing what Erik, you can't count your chickens before they hatch, kind of a thing. They're just so reticent about what could, if this is really going to happen. Because if you talk to them, they'll go, "Did you see? There's a peace agreement," and we'll believe it when it's really, comes to fruition. So they're very, very doubtful over here. And Erik is right. We have this whole Israel thing. That is really not part of this agreement. I mean, so if Trump cannot get Netanyahu on board somehow, and Iran is going to stick to the fact that this Israel-Lebanon, has to be part of the deal, then there's going to be no agreement, because Israel is planning on striking Beirut. So that's why everybody's a little bit, doubtful about the agreement and if it will really come to fruition at this point. They're all doubting Thomases over here, or doubting Tomasis, which is Italian, So, and I think some parts, right, Erik, weren't parts of the deal have not really been disclosed, but we have the problem of the uranium enrichment. There was something that was said over here that certain countries in this agreement have agreed to go to disable the mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're right. Most of the actual agreement has not been publicly disclosed. We only know like bits and pieces to the media, which is why you had Chuck Schumer on TV the other day going, "Wow, the president needs to disclose all the specifics now to Congress." Like, okay.
Good invitation.
That's how he has it. Like,
well,
but there is like a tentative, part of this that's why they put everything in tiers. So Iran would have 30 days to get like some of the very simple things done, like the Strait of Hormuz has to be completely opened within 30 days without toll fares getting charged and whatnot. Right. They're supposed to work with Oman to do that, to maintain that. They have up to 60 days to get the nuclear part of it organized. So there's still parts of the agreement that are not organized. They have agreed tentatively to a structure of this, of what are some of the things that are going to have to get discussed and finalized within 60 days. So there's still a margin of error there. Now, as far as the as Laura, as what you were talking about with the mines, yes. What we're seeing is France has sent, the Charles de Gaulle has been over there for quite some time. They've just kind of been out of the firing distance, but they're going to be going in there and assisting with some of the mines to getting rid of the mines out of there.
Italy
There's a lot of
too.
them.
I understand. Italy was one. That's
Yeah,
right.
Italy will be there. I believe British is sending
Hmm.
some help over that way as well. So that's the good thing is we are seeing the United States and Europe with the G7. A lot got done at the G7 today and yesterday. So it does seem like everybody's on the same page right now as far as getting the cleanup of this done. So I mean, there's some good things that are happening right now as opposed to where we were at 2 weeks ago. But as
Right.
far as getting the entire deal complete, I think there's a there's a lot of room
Yeah.
for miscalculation there.
Well, the
So,
wild card
Claire,
is, sorry, Jenny.
no, finish. Go ahead.
Wild
Go ahead.
card is that Netanyahu and
Yeah,
Israel and all of that.
absolutely.
That's the wild card.
Yep.
Well, clearly somebody has to keep the war machine going because we've always established it's a business. And clearly Netanyahu is the one who is the fuel for this machine. Because if everyone else is making an effort to come to the table for peace, but he wants to continue the war, you have to be blind. Even the blind can see that there has to be an agenda attached to why there has to always be a war somewhere.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see what ensues, but I guess Friday would be the day because once the deal is signed, it's done, right?
Yeah, especially when you do it on Satan's turf.
Exactly. Dang it, I was thinking it. I forgot I was on camera. Anyway, the
I'll say
thing
it for you.
is, the thing is though, Eric, even if he attacks Beirut, hopefully the Iranians see what is going on and they don't engage. That possibility exists, right?
I mean, yes, it does. It does, but is it likely when we're looking at probability and calculating the percentage of probability? The probability is that it's going to make them mad. So do they attack? I don't know. The last time early last week when Iran fired towards Israel, like just about everything got shot down. Everybody was ready for it. They knew it was happening. Everybody chipped in to knock all the missiles down. So there wasn't anything, which is funny because Iran was like, if they don't quit, they're going to get way worse than that. I'm like, what? All your rockets getting shot down? What's way worse than that? And so I don't think Iran has a lot left in the tank. Just seeing by how this deal came about, Iran was taking their time, and Trump said, you know what, I'm tired of waiting. Trump strategically chose oil infrastructure targets on that last strike, and it wasn't within 24 hours. Iran was like, whoa, we're done. Let's get a deal done, and so Iran doesn't have a lot left. Their media has made it seem like they're doing well, but I don't think they are. If they were, there would have been a lot of retaliation on Iran's parts against the 400 naval vessels out in the ocean of the United States. But we didn't see that. They caved really fast. So I think Iran is in a much worse. I think we exposed their hand by doing that. So I'm not real worried about them anymore, as per se.
But maybe,
But
sorry to interrupt, but maybe that will be the thing that will work for the world if Israel does hit Beirut.
right,
Maybe what you just said would be the one reason that would stop them from engaging.
right,
I
yeah, and
hope.
and the bad part is we have all these retired generals getting on TV, like General Kellogg and uh, General Jack Keane. They're getting on TV going, "Whoa, this is never going to work. We should just finish off Iran, just flatten him." And I'm like, man, yeah. If I was getting
These
paid
people
by
sound.
I mean, they're getting paid by the defense contractors, so they're going to get on TV and say those things. It's good for their investment portfolio. So I don't trust anything those guys say.
They sound so callous. I mean, how did these people become so callous? Is it just fighting wars every day that can do that to a human?
I mean, some people are just warmongers. You look at John Bolton when he was in the cabinet. under several presidents. He's a complete warmonger. He hates Muslims. So any chance he gets to start a fight in the Middle East, he's gaslighting it as fast as he can because he wants to kill as many Muslims as he can. So anything John Bolton says, I discard too because he's a complete psychopath.
Laura, did you read anything or find out why Netanyahu wants to keep this machine going? What do you think is the reason he just wants to continue fighting all the time?
Well, I can't necessarily get into somebody's head who is a psychopath, necessarily, but the opinion about Netanyahu and it's continuing this, he has a strategy that he needs to take over certain parts in order to, I think he had shown a project or a plan where it's, a certain gateway that he wants to make. And in order to do that, you have to be able to take over these lands. You got to take on certain portions. And he uses the Hezbollah and the whole other opinions that people have as part of his strategy. But he has a one very focused strategy on what he wants to accomplish. And in order for him to accomplish that land to the sea strategy is he has to take over these parts. That was part of Gaza. Now it's the southern Lebanon. That's into Beirut. So he has his own, lens as to what his goals are. I did want to ask though, Erik, something about Palantir came up today here in Europe. Mm-hmm. Because Palantir is the one that is pretty much funding all the drone activity and everything in these, in this drone warfare. Right. And it's, of course, an American software company that was set up by some of the big players, Peter Thiel, and the thought over here is that it's also funding Israel because it's Israeli-backed monies, right?
Right.
So when Jenny, you mentioned war is a business, there is an AI business right now behind this as well, because the drone warfare is being done by Palantir.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week in that article that woman had written that I shared, where she specifically outlined the materials that were being used to make these drones and bullets and all the stuff that is being used for destruction is the same material we need to put into perfecting green energy. But that is not what is being done. Hence my conclusion that war is a business, and it's a better business than providing for us. Those who are benefiting from it are the people who are pushing the wars, and that does not include us. So they are robbing us to fight battles with our taxpayers' money that is continuing to line their pockets. My question is, how deep are those damn pockets? And how much is enough? I look at how I live comfortably with what I have, and it can't even come near anything they own. When is enough enough? To me, not only is this a business, but those behind the business are ill. They are not well. Because well people do not behave like that. And that, once again, my friends, is my humble opinion.
I think one
greed,
major,
right?
Yeah, one major eye-opening thing that happened, and this may not seem like anything to a lot of people, but to me, knowing the history behind things, when Brittany Griner, the WNBA basketball player, was caught with that vape pen with THC in it in Russia, even though when you get off the plane in Russia, they specifically tell you Russia doesn't play with drugs. If you get caught with drugs, they will stroke you. Even they told her that. She when Joe Biden made the trade for Victor Boot for Brittany Griner, I thought, what are you doing? I get it. You want to bring the American home, but how do you give the merchant of death to Russia. The guy who's killed Victor Boot's responsible for more deaths probably than Anthony Fauci's COVID. That man, he funds death all over the world. Africa, every civil war in Africa is funded by Victor Boot. And a lot of the Middle East arms are funded by Victor Boot. Why would we give one of the most dangerous human beings on the face of the earth that many of our congressional people had their hands in his pockets? Why would we give him back and give him free reign to do these things? Because war is marketable. Him sitting in a prison cell, nobody's making money. Victor Boot can start a war in 10 seconds if he wants to. And he does. And he still is. He's back in Russia, and Vladimir Putin says, oh, yeah, he's just minding his own business, sitting in his mansion, doing nothing. No, he's not.
It sounds to me like Mr. Boot needs a boot.
And that's why I'm glad that Brittany Griner has just kept her mouth shut since being out, because her being released is going to be at the expense of probably 300,000 or 400,000 deaths.
You know, we sit here every week and we talk about these issues. And what we're doing really is just highlighting issues that somehow we're powerless to change. And what do you do then? Turn a deaf ear? So, Erik, if you had the control to remedy this, how would you do it?
I mean, are we being nice or are we not being nice? That's the
diplomatic question. Or not diplomatic, right?
You choose, Erik.
I mean, you have to look. You have to look at the way things are done, I suppose. If I'm just a rogue entity, I'm going to go hire probably triple canopy, and I'm going to go run around in all the countries and get rid of all the people that are causing me problems. Because triple canopy is basically a military for hire. And then if I'm a global leader and I have my own military at my disposal, I'm going to do what George Herbert Walker did in the Gulf War in Iraq and just carpet bomb a country until they submit.
Laura, same question. What would you do?
Well, I guess if that would be like the $1 million question, what would I do? Put some reasoning into these people's minds. I mean, I think the loose cannon is Israel. I think also, if I'm not mistaken, Trump had a little bit like what you call a message it was sent over and showing that he really is having a spat. Sometimes I don't get along with Bibi, and sometimes I do. We don't see things the same way. It was like a lover's spat, and everybody talked about that because he can't seem to bring him under control. This Bibi Netanyahu, this government, this Israel is just gone rogue, even for a lot of people who are Jewish and who do believe in, are not what they say, quote unquote, Zionists. They want an end to all of this madness. But if you don't reel him in, you can't stabilize. You got to stabilize some things because everything is very chaotic. We had we don't even know why this war even started because we're already still at the same place that where we began. If the uranium enrichment...
Don't mean to interrupt you, but we started because it's a business.
Yes.
They have to continue making money from it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So they're making money, still the same problems. The Iranian enrichment in Iran isn't going to be solved. Nothing I see being solved by what we did. Tariffs are still there. All of it is still there. So you're exactly right. And just for the very same fact that I mentioned to you, Palantir, we're all in this AI, game. I don't even know it's a game, but all of these people that are in AI. So everything is being driven by that. So I can't agree with Erik to just carpet bomb country, but sometimes you get so You just get so fed up. You just want stability and you just want a modicum of reasoning because it just, like you say, Jenny, all the time, make it make sense. Because you know what? It doesn't make any sense.
You want me to tell you why carpet bombing was the best option at the time?
Yeah, okay,
Hello.
okay.
Because it's cheap. It's cheap to do,
Uh-huh.
and you can do it very quickly and cover a lot of space in a very short amount of time.
Mhm.
And when you're watching everything that in your country just catch on fire and burn, you tend to give up. Now, how does that fall into the economic side of it where wars? Guess who rebuilt Iraq? Halliburton. Who owns Halliburton?
Yes,
Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney.
yes, yes,
So guess who got rich off of the first Gulf War? The Cheneys
yes,
did. Off
yes.
of the death of Iraqis.
And have you noticed the names these people have? Dick Cheney. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my God.
I'm sorry.
May I ask
Mr.
Jenny,
Boots.
uh, may I ask Eric one more thing? What did you
Yes.
think about the fact that now the Trump family, Jared, the whole thing about that island in
Yeah, I was gonna come to that next. Yes,
Yeah,
Eric, give us the update on that.
yes,
On that big acquisition or not.
yes.
Because I've read somewhere where now Jared is being investigated, but like I said, it's difficult to navigate what is true and what is not true.
Mm,
I mean, I actually haven't put a lot of thought
mm.
into that because rich people tend to buy a lot of stuff. And if we go look
But
at
Eric, can
every,
I interrupt you? You have to buy something if it's for sale. Just because you're rich, you can't just
well, I
go
mean,
buying things because you
yeah,
have
I mean,
money.
there's reasons for things, but you also have to remember, I used to work for a company where the owner of the company it was very close friends with the Trumps, specifically Eric Trump, and they would go on hunting trips together. So the Trumps would go buy hunting areas all over the world just so they could fly in their helicopters all over and shoot animals out of the helicopters. I know this to be fact. They used to borrow our company jet to do it as well. I mean, they wouldn't shoot out of the jet, but they would use our jet to fly all over the place, kind of like how everybody says Trump's in the Epstein files. They borrowed our jet too, So um, that's a big, it's a stretch. Yeah, it's weird Albania, but what's in Albania? What's worth anything there? I don't know. I've never really
Can I
dug in it.
interject there?
Yeah.
Right. So this Cezanne Island, right, is
Mm-hmm.
not your typical island,
No. Nope.
right, Jenny? It has bunkers,
Amen. I said that last week. It's sitting on a military base.
bunkers.
I
And can
mean,
I say another thing? It also introduces, so we talked about the Strait of Hormuz. It's a choke point, correct? There's another one, another strait that's on the other side. It's also another choke point.
right.
This positioning of this Cezanne Island is also a strategic choke point.
Exactly,
When you
Eric.
control the waterways, you control, as we've seen, just with one little strait, right? You control the economy, right? Logistics, right? Will tell you that. So, two things: bunkers underneath this island, and two strategically. Well, she just fell in love with the island. Ivanka, they took off, got off the yacht,
Running.
swam to it in their bare feet.
Hiking.
We went all the way up to the top. We fell in love, and what we need to do, we want to build a luxury resort that is going to be a part of the beauty of the island and will not in any way change anything that is organic about. It's all smoke and mirrors. That is an
Well,
island that they saw with this war, because this was something that nobody ever predicted, or you'd think that war strategists would have predicted or would have warned Trump that if you attack Iran, this is going to happen to the Strait of Hormuz. And incidentally, it became the factor by which, we played this cat and mouse game and are still doing this, right? Where if you control a waterway, you control the economy and everything that is built around that. Now they are all on board with this is an island because of the beauty and the luxury. Oh, I wanted, no, this is not an Ivanka Trump interior design or exterior design project. This is also a strategic choke point that if they acquire, they will be just like Iran is, right? And its neighboring country, Oman, for that Strait of Hormuz.
And do you think our president doesn't know the grand plan behind this? This is where it gets confusing for me. And here's where I have a real issue with Trump. That I see two faces. It's like here he's trying to stop the war, but his daughter and husband are trying to acquire a place where they could potentially do the same down the road. And also the story they're feeding us, like, you dumb, stupid people. Yeah, they were sailing their yacht and they saw this little island and they jumped out and swam. And if you have the brain and the time and the willingness to go check out the island they're talking about, you show me where they went hiking.
And the yacht they were on was a Rothschild yacht. Rothschilds were on the yacht.
Yes, I am so tired of treating us like we're stupid. You don't even have to look hard because I don't dig anymore. But I know all that Laura is saying. I was hinting to it last week because I already knew. And so for me, it's like, I just want to see someone who's standing out there saying they're brokering peace but doesn't have their children on the side doing this shady deal. It's like my point precisely. Wings of the same bird.
It's unstoppable.
Controlled opposition. That's why
I don't put a lot of thought into these things because you show me a politician, I'll show you a crook. It's never going to stop. We're going to keep electing these crooks in. It's the American people's fault.
No, we need to elect you, Eric. We need to make you president because
he's unelectable.
Why?
Because they look, I will not make it 10 minutes. They'll have me in a helicopter crash somewhere.
That's true. Yeah. Or you'll have a heart attack or you'll commit suicide. This guy who makes everyone laugh and all my viewers are, oh, we love Eric, he's so funny, will suddenly commit suicide.
Yeah, which is totally against my faith. Just so if anybody ever sees that, I've killed myself. Totally against my faith. I would never, ever, ever in a million trillion years ever do that.
Neither would I, because I'm a happy woman and I know what's going on. I have no reason to kill myself because I know they know their time is up. Their time is up. They're no longer the powers that are. They are the powers that were, and they know it. And
I'm traveling.
Bully do? What does the bully who's been running and controlling the playing field do for eternity when one day eternity ends? Because then it really wasn't eternity. It was your false perception of eternity. When the reality hits and your power is up, what do? Which one of them ever sets the ball down and go, okay, I was defeated and walk away? No. They're coming out of the woodworks and they're trying their darnest to continue to fool us. But they can only fool some of us. And the rest of us, we know what is going on. And what is waiting for them, I hope they'll have as much fun with it as they are doing, trying to make idiots of us. We're out of time, and as always, I'd like to give the two of you a message you want to leave everyone with. Eric, starting with you.
I mean, don't get your hopes up with this peace deal. I think there's a lot of things that can go wrong between now and Friday specifically. I just don't I don't trust that Israel-Lebanon thing to stop. You know, Iran has influence on Hezbollah, and Benjamin Netanyahu has made it abundantly clear that his objectives have not been met and that he is not bound to the peace deal. So I think he's pretty much given us some foreshadowing. So just
I
be
hope his
prepared.
army turns on him and starts bombing him because he's
Well,
the problem.
here's the problem. If you get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu, there's still two heads of Israel, but they're basically the same at the same time. They don't
Wings
like
of
each
the
other, but
same,
they're
right?
basically the same anyway. And you get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu, you end up with another tyrant. So it's not going to change anything for Israel, and they know that. They know that if they have leadership change, it's not going to stop Iran from wanting to kill them. It's not going to stop the other terrorist proxies from wanting to kill them. It's that's a never ending. It's like you know being the only white guy and going and living in the middle of the Black Panthers. That's what Israel is. They're in a spot where you're hated from every angle. And so I don't know how I would handle those things. If I was their world leader, they're in a geographically bad spot to where Judaism doesn't align with the Islamic countries that are around them, and it's the Holy Land on top of that. It's just I don't know. I don't know how you handle that.
Is the land still holy when the inhabitants are like them? Just asking.
I mean, I think it's a desecrated land.
Of
Forgive me
course.
for saying that,
No, it
but
is.
I mean,
But
when you've had that many millions of people's blood on your soil, I just don't think it's very holy anymore.
exactly. It's holy as in big holes in the ground from all the ammunition. Laura, what's your closing message?
My closing message, I do know that elections are coming up in Israel too. It's like October 2026. So I know that Eric says, you have Bibi Netanyahu might leave, but then somebody else, but maybe somebody more moderate, because there was somebody more moderate than him previously. And so perhaps maybe that's October, right? Isn't that when are our midterms, right? November, correct?
November.
Right. So you have October elections, Israel. You got our midterms coming up November, so some things might change. I don't know. I also agree with Eric. And like a lot of Europeans, Italians especially, do not hold any weight with this agreement. I also was thinking that perhaps this came to be because, as you mentioned, it's a business. So we did talk about the fact that it's the stock market, right, being pumped up, and then, so they keep doing this cat and mouse game with these agreements where really nothing changes because it's that, pump and dump strategy. So you get the audience, your public excited that there's something really moving forward, but really nothing has changed because there's really a cut and paste kind of job right now. So those are my thoughts. I don't think anything's necessarily going to come of it. If something does, we want to stay positive and be there, but we do need something to change with the elections coming up. October is for Israel as well as for our midterms in November, to see if we can even affect any kind of change.
Thank you,
So,
Laura. I'm so sorry we've run out of time and we've kind of gone over, so I don't mean to cut you off.
mhm.
Guys, we've come back. We've brought you what we've got. You don't have to agree with us, but please check for yourself. Go and look, because we are at a time where you have to know. Because when you know, you have power to protect yourself. And that's the bottom line. We're not here to convince you either way. As you can see, sometimes our views don't align, but we table them anyway, each of us, because somewhere in the middle is your truth. And I really, really hope, guys, we're paying attention, because we have to take care of ourselves and our families. And we will see you next week. Every week I say, I don't know what's going to happen. But let's hope that we'll be coming back to celebrate that we were all wrong and that the deal was signed and the war is over. Fingers crossed. and we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.